Hi, ArcfieldWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Monday afternoon, January 9th. Very interesting weather event coming to much of the eastern third of the nation late this week into the early part of the upcoming weekend. And we'll take a look at some interesting changes that look like will take place later in the month with respect to the overall upper air wind pattern and the overall pattern in general across North America. Of course, California has been getting pounded by storm after storm coming in off the Pacific Ocean. Looks like that pattern will continue for the next 7 to 10 days or so. In fact, right now they're getting hit again by a powerful storm that will produce some heavy rain right through tomorrow night. And the grounds are very well saturated already, so that certainly can lead to some localized flash flooding, maybe some mud and rock slides as well. The winds will be very strong as well, so power outages are indeed on the table for the next 48 hours or so. Let's start off by looking at the Canadian ensemble run from last night at 0Z. We'll kind of take a longer term look here at the changes in the 500 millibar height anomaly pattern here. And focus in on this part of North America, right here, the western part of the U.S., Alaska right here, and the western part of Canada. And this, of course, is the state of California right here that has been getting pounded by storm after storm. You can see upper level lows impacting the west coast right now and all the way back to south of the Aleutian Islands. And again, the next 7 to 10 days or so we'll see a continuation of this pattern, but important changes look like they'll take place after that, let's say after the 20th or so of January. Let's move forward here, and here we go. We have now on Tuesday afternoon upper level lows situated over California. We go beyond that and we have the next upper level low sliding into the south and east and impacting California, much of the western part of the U.S. this upcoming weekend. This is the Saturday afternoon forecast map. Then we keep moving forward, and again, just kind of focusing on this for a while, and then we'll shift to the East Coast later on here in this video discussion. Yet another powerful storm, probably the early part of next week. And again, notice all the upper level lows here off the west coast of Canada and the U.S. This is now a week away from now, early part of next week. And then we start to see some changes later on next week, especially showing up after about the 20th or so. This is Friday, January 20th, about a week and a half or so from right now. Notice a little bit of a ridge starting to pop up here in the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean, and that's as compared with all those upper level lows that we saw not only today but for the next 7 to 10 days or so. And that ridge ends up popping up along the west coast of Canada, and notice here all the way into Alaska, and here we are all the way out to Monday, January 23rd, and that is an important change to the overall weather pattern. First of all, you get a cutoff of those storms pounding into California. Again, it looks like a big change may be coming. The end is in sight for that onslaught in California, maybe from the 20th or so on. Beyond that, looks like a warmer and drier pattern, and that also will be timed with the developing trough over the eastern half of the nation. And with this kind of a change, this is very important upper level change here across the west coast of Canada and the U.S. with this high level ridging pumped up into Alaska, and that allows a change in the upper level flow from northwest to southeast across Canada, and that in turn certainly spells a colder weather pattern for the eastern third of the nation, the eastern half of the nation, let's say 10 days out and beyond. So when the west coast, western part of Canada starts to see warmer and drier conditions, you can almost be certain that the eastern half of the nation will indeed turn to a more colder weather pattern about 10 days out from right now. Now let's focus in on the late week event in the eastern part of the nation, and we have a a couple of storm systems to watch, at least a potential for a couple different storm systems to watch. The first one certainly looks like it'll be what we call an inland runner. It'll head towards the Great Lakes into the well to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region in the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast U.S., and that results in rain at the front end of this particular late week system. There are signs, however, that on the backside there'll be kind of a secondary wave of energy diving deep into the base of the trough that will set up in the eastern part of the nation. And if that can get its act in time off the eastern seaboard, let's say by late Friday night, even into the day on Saturday, could draw on enough colder air to make things pretty interesting by the time we get to Friday night or Saturday and the back end of this late week event. Again, that's if indeed a secondary forms down across the base of the trough and then intensifies off the eastern seaboard. We'll kind of look at some of the players on the field here. Again, using the Canadian model. This is from today's run. Just came off the presses here, hot off the presses, the 12Z Canadian model. I think it has a pretty good handle on the situation. We're looking at the vorticity field here. Let's just move forward here over the next few days, and we'll point out a couple of features that are going to become big players. This is kind of a frontal passage on Tuesday evening in the eastern part of the nation. And here we go by the latter part of the week. Here we are on Thursday morning. Notice vorticity max setting up over the middle Mississippi Valley region by the time we get to Thursday morning. Again, there'll be one system here heading to the eastern Great Lakes, well to the north and west of the I-95 corridor region, that allows for milder air to pump in along the eastern seaboard, and certainly looks like rain later Thursday into Thursday night and even into the day on Friday. But watch what happens here on this latest Canadian model run, and really the other models are showing a similar sort of possibility here, that you have right here this initial wave right here cutting up to the north and east, but then another wave kind of diving farther to the south and east into this part of that overall upper level trough in the eastern part of the nation. So again, we have this wave swinging around, and it very well could set off the formation right in this region right here of a second low pressure area. The initial one rides up as an inland runner, but there could be intensification along the Mid-Atlantic coastline by the time we get to, let's say, late Friday night, early Saturday morning. And here's the upper level feature at that particular time. Now, that's certainly something we'll have to watch for over the next few days and as we get closer to this late week event. Again, looks like maybe two systems here we'll have to monitor. The first one, certainly an inland runner, brings it up mild air for just rain in the I-95 corridor region, let's say later Thursday night into the day on Friday. Then there is the potential for a second system to drop deeper to the south and east, deeper into the base of the overall large-scale trough that will be setting up over the eastern third of the nation. It could set off intensification of a second low-pressure area off the Mid-Atlantic coastline by Friday night, Saturday. It could draw in enough cold air to get things pretty interesting. Let's move out a little bit farther in time, and that slowly moves away to the north and east. And here we are all the way into Monday, still seeing some signs of that secondary system that, again, could intensify low pressure off the eastern seaboard by the early part of the weekend and by the early part of next week, situated over the western Atlantic. Well, how does this translate to the surface? Let's take a look at the surface forecast maps. Again, using the very latest, the 12Z model run from the Canadian Met Center here. Clearing skies right now in the Mid-Atlantic region. Again, we talked about a powerful storm impact in California, not only for the rest of today, but tonight, tomorrow night as well. Now, let's keep moving forward in time here as we get to the middle part of the week. And here we are now all the way out to Thursday morning. And here is that initial wave. Again, an inland runner cutting up to the eastern Great Lakes from the middle Mississippi Valley region, and we have this flow of air ahead of it that will certainly bring mild conditions to D.C., Philadelphia, New York City later Thursday into Friday. Probably highs on both of those days in the lower 50s in that D.C., Philadelphia, New York City corridor. There certainly is some cold air to the north and west in the cold sector here. 996 millibar low by the time we get to Thursday evening. And notice a lot of yellow showing up here. That's kind of heavier rainfall, maybe showing us something is developing down there. The frontal system right in this same vicinity come Thursday night. Then we get later into the work week here on Friday. The initial wave rides up to the north and east, and here's the development, the potential development of that secondary low pressure system by the time we get to later Friday. And with that upper level support moving overhead, it intensifies. Let's backtrack a little. Look at this, a 10:01 low midday on Friday. All of a sudden we have a 998 low over the eastern Carolinas, and it can't be seen right here, but there's low pressure right in this region right here by the time we get to early Saturday morning, and it's a strong low pressure area. Enough cold air starts to get drawn in on the backside of this secondary low that it very well could change the rain to some snow, at least in some of the higher elevations. It's dumping out a lot of snow on this particular model run. Don't take that verbatim right now. We have several days to go. Just be aware that there is some possibility here of a secondary system pulling in colder air Friday night, Saturday time frame. Let's go out a little bit farther in time, and indeed it causes some snow all the way in the I-95 corridor region by the time we get to the latter part of Saturday. So this could be a long event, really getting underway with the inland runner later Thursday night as rain in the middle Atlantic region of the northeast U.S. But then, if indeed a secondary develops, it could get pretty interesting by the time we get to Friday night, Saturday, even into Saturday night time frame, and we go all the way out to Sunday, and we have that storm system, that second storm system, moving up into the eastern part of Maine. Well, let's wrap up by looking at a couple of 10-day forecast maps from the latest run of the Canadian. This is a total liquid equivalent precipitation over the next 10 days. And again, California just gets inundated with heavy rain in the low-lying areas along the coast and tremendous snowfall in the higher elevations such as the Sierra Nevada of Eastern California. Still another 10 feet of snow on the table here for spots in the Sierra Nevada. That's on top of the tremendous snowpack that has already developed over the past several days, and several inches of rain in the low-lying areas. And here is the precipitation rather significant up across the northeast U.S. from that late week event. Again, we're talking Thursday, Friday, maybe even into Saturday and Sunday in the eastern third of the nation. Well, let's wrap up with the snowfall estimate from the 12Z Canadian model run for the next 10 days. Again, off the charts type snow. Right here, you see this white band? That's basically off the charts here, 48 inches or more. It's expect 5 to 10 feet of additional snow in Sierra Nevada on top of the tremendous snowpack that has already formed. And some of these California storms are certainly going to cause additional snowfall over the Rocky Mountain states, even into the central and northern plains over the next 10 days or so. And this is largely a result of a secondary storm system, even some significant snowfall thrown out here by this particular model run, but don't take that verbatim yet. Just caution, this is a red flag that there may be a secondary development, and we'll have to monitor here in the I-95 corridor region for, let's say, Friday night, Saturday time frame. Initially, rain coming Thursday night, Friday with that inland runner, and then we'll monitor the possibility, there's possibility here of a secondary system formed near or just east of the mid-Atlantic coastline by the time we get to the early part of the upcoming weekend. So very interesting weather pattern, not only over the next 5 or 6 days or so in the eastern third of the nation, but over the next couple of weeks, big time changes coming to the west coast, and that will be correlated with some big time changes in the eastern half of the nation as well. The onslaught in California continues for another 7 to 10 days or so, but there certainly are signs that the overall pattern changes significantly, let's say after the 20th of the month of January or so. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.